spent $4.1 trillion of money in city globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem.
Ondo Finance posted this from this morning. The world's largest asset manager sees tokenization as the next frontier. We all heard what Larry Fink said in the video, but Ondo goes on to say it is a vision of more open, efficient, and accessible markets already being realized through Ondo's tokenized U.S. Treasury stocks and ETFs. The next era of finance isn't coming. It's already here. Also, as we talked about in the intro of the video, China's PBOC could inject more liquidity in the coming months. Down in the comment section, we see here could inject liquidity ? He said it's been clear for months that they will. China is far weaker than the headline suggests. Cracks everywhere beneath the surface. The targeted stimulus hasn't been enough. I've been tracking this very closely, and the real flood is coming soon. So some of you that don't pay attention to world economics may be saying, well, why does it matter that China is going to be pumping liquidity into their markets? Well, when there's more money to go around, no matter what country is pumping liquidity, it does create a more risk-on scenario where people are going to need a place to get that money and invest it so they can make larger gains. Because we also know more liquidity, more printing of money devalues the actual base currency. For this case, obviously in China, give me the yuan. Well, when we do that here in the United States for the United States dollar, as you all know, the dollar's been dropping. You need to be in stuff like gold, silver, Bitcoins. You need to be holding assets to counteract the deflation of your dollar. Arthur Hayes talking about what we talked about in the intro as well. Jerome Powell has come out to state that they are going to start releasing some more funds as well. Powell signaled that the central bank may stop shrinking its balance sheet. In other words, they're going to stop sucking all of the liquidity out of the market, which also sets us up for eventually putting more liquidity into the market. An important shift necessary to preserve liquidity overnight funding markets. So we have China about to start injecting liquidity. We have the United States stopping the vacuuming of liquidity so that way people can actually have a comfort level that it's not going to be swooped out of the system. But then we also know we're going to start pumping actual liquidity into that market soon as well. So Arthur Hayes says, there you have it. Quantitative tightening is over. Back up the effing truck and buy everything. And in a wild report that came out today, Zach XBT also says it's pretty incredible what happened. The U.S. likely hacked or reclaimed 127,000 Bitcoin from vulnerable wallets identified 2 years ago. Now, as you all know, the strategic Bitcoin reserve is only going to grow during this time through Bitcoin that it is able to seize. Well, if they hacked or reclaimed 127,000 Bitcoin, that is now going directly into the strategic reserve for the United States. And this is the first official announcement. We have MetaMask coming out and talking about several things that they're talking about here today, but please show this post to everyone that needs to know that MetaMask is cooking. Perps trading is here. So if you're not familiar, Perps through Polymarket also is going to be there. Prediction markets are coming. And the future MetaMask token is confirmed. This is the biggest thing on this announcement right here. For those of you that have been around crypto long enough, MetaMask was the only wallet that everyone was using to do all their transactions for many years back in the day. And well, they also had Trust Wallet to use as well. But this was one of the main ones. So are you going to be rewarded for previous use? Did you earn a bunch of points? Are you going to get a MetaMask token airdrop? Time will tell on more details when that comes out. But this is exciting. Perps trading. As you know right now, as far as perps go, that's the hottest thing in the markets with Hyperliquid, Aster, Lighter, and many others. And then as you know, as far as betting and gambling goes, Polymarket is one of the top deals in this arena right now as well. Polymarket responding, polymarket prediction markets. No, just polymarkets. It's cleaner. And we also have BlackRock CEO Larry Fink also saying that they are going to be developing their own technology. As we know, they do have a $13.4 trillion assets under management. They're going to be potentially developing their own token. They're saying their own technology, but what will they be using? Well, Ondo seems to think it's going to be them. Larry Fink saying that they're developing their own. Maybe they're partnering and working with Ondo as another scenario here. We also have AIXBT. Lots of news about Ondo in the last 24, 48 hours. Ondo Finance just bought Oasis Pro's broker-dealer, ATS, and transfer agent licenses, acquiring 3 to 5 years of regulatory runway for $50 to $75 million. BlackRock needs third parties for buildable fund distribution. Franklin Templeton relies on external infrastructure. Ondo now owns the entire tokenization stack from origination to on-chain distribution. $600 million worth of assets under management, growing 300% annually, and the only integrated SEC-regulated infrastructure in DeFi. Ondo, at $1.1 billion, fully diluted value for monopoly positioning in a $27 trillion tokenized treasury. Now, what they're talking about here, if you're not familiar, if you're not following AIXBT, I highly recommend you follow them. It is one of those AI agents. If you remember, this time last year, AI agents was the most popular thing. Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. And then they completely fell off. Not hot at all. But I do follow AIXBT, and they're putting out amazing stuff all of the time to keep you in front of the markets. Like, this is great alpha right here. That's amazing research that you need to know about. Also big for the markets. Obviously, we're going to check the charts at the end of this video. It's a little somber right now, but Tether did just mint $1 billion of USDT, and you know what that means. They are turning on the money printer. We see China turning on the money printer. Soon the United States is going to be turning on the money printer rather than the vacuum. So get ready, ladies and gentlemen. Will we still continue to drop? There is potential of that, but the bottom, is it coming? Or is the bull run over? We'll check when we get to the charts here shortly. And pretty interesting news here. Just in $1.7 trillion, Citibank is going to launch crypto custody services in 2026. And this is funny because as we see a year ago, October 23rd, 2024, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse has personally been severed from a longtime banking relationship with a prominent figure in crypto. So you heard that right. Citibank debanked Brad Garlinghouse, but now they're coming out to be a crypto custody service in 2 years later. Sorry, not 1 year, 2 years later. Also, big breaking news coming from AIXBT as well. Morgan Stanley's 15,000 advisors will get Bitcoin ETF access on October 15th, managing $6 trillion. Advisors need 4 to 8 weeks of training before recommending it to clients. So the first real deployment wave hits in December, not Tuesday, but 10% of advisors putting 10% of clients at a 2% allocation equals $1.2 billion worth of liquidity. There's that word again. Accumulate Bitcoin under 120K before advisor FOMO kicks in 2021. Or Q1 2026. And Larry Fink a couple of days ago also said there is a role for crypto in the same way that there is a role for gold. It's an alternative. And this statement was posted in a 60 Minutes interview. Now, if you're familiar with 60 Minutes, you younger groups may not understand. 60 Minutes used to be like the gold standard when it comes to interviews. And obviously now it's definitely fallen off because of all the fake news stuff that they've been doing over the years. But this is a major interview for Larry Fink, and him to say it there is a big, big deal.